Hello, it's me, the heavy breather from every horror film you've ever seen. You know me. First I terrorize my victim by the telephone. Then I choose my murder weapon. A gun? Nah, too easy. A hatchet? Nah, I always use a hatchet. For this movie, I want something very frightening and deadly. Then I climb the stairs to surprise my victims. Why do they always live upstairs? This movie's a comedy, so killing's not so easy. Sugarless. The movie's called Student Bodies, so I picked a typical American high school.
This is Mr. Peters, your principal.
Meet the rest of the faculty. The shop teacher, the guidance counselor, the janitor with the IQ of a handball.
What's he doing?
Sex education teacher.
This is totally unnecessary, ugly, and gets in the way.
Your mother?
She also told me that sex was bad and dirty, but only with my father. With everyone else, she said it was great.
I'm into murder myself, and student bodies are going to be everywhere.
Dead bodies downfield. 15-yard penalty.
See Student Bodies, a killer comedy.
Before Scary Movie did its duty spoofing the slasher genre in the early 2000s, the 80s had its very own send-up called Student Bodies. It came quite early, you might add, even before the subgenre completely hit it off. The year was 1981. Freddy Krueger wouldn't come out of the boiler room for another few years. Chucky wouldn't start getting stabby for damn near a decade. We were even a year away from Jason Voorhees donning his infamous hockey mask. Despite that, we know where the ammo for this fun is coming from. Halloween, Black Christmas, and The Shining all come to mind.
Here's Breather.
An eraser!
The story is relatively straightforward. A killer is terrorizing students at a local high school. Whenever the killer finds youngsters having sex, he kills them. He has some intense issues with which to deal. He likes to breathe heavily, and he likes to make prank phone calls while talking through a rubber chicken. Our obligatory final girl is Toby, a sexually repressed high schooler who, due to the fact that she's always in the wrong place at the wrong time, gets accused of having a hand in all of this mayhem. An assortment of obscure character actors and New York theater folk fill out the cast, playing a zany assortment of teachers and administrators, each of whom are just sick enough to be our killer. While they all try to solve the mystery of who's slaying the school's biggest horn dogs, the body count keeps piling up, with a handy on-screen counter keeping score.
Don't worry about the stairs. I'll clean them. You know how I like cleaning gum off them. The important thing is that you calm down and relax.
Well, I'll be darned.
The film was a modest hit at the box office, grossing a little over $5 million. It would later become celebrated as a late-night cult favorite on cable, appearing frequently on the Rhonda Shear-hosted USA Up All Night, as well as the network's USA Saturday Nightmare double feature series.
Now it's time for a happier movie. It's called Student Bodies, and you never know what to expect from it. It's a comical look at the kind of horror movies that have come to call Up All Night their home. Here's Student Bodies on USA Up All Night.
So, is the movie actually any good? Well, let's talk about that. Things start off strong. We find out that, unlike Halloween or Friday the 13th, the movie is set on Jamie Lee Curtis's birthday, although the Scream Queen never makes an appearance in the film. The acting is pure cheese and drawn out, pictured exactly like what someone from today who generalizes might think of it as. The dialogue is silly, and fake scares imitated from previous horror movies show the present-day audience that even in 1981, when the slasher genre was just getting started, the public could sense the repeated formula and stereotypes miles away. While in earnest, the film suffers most when it is being repetitious. It also benefits from scenes that somewhat drag and then present a quick and unexpected change of pace, such as Toby being chased by our antagonist after he peeps on her in the girls' locker room, only to find the janitor reaching down into his pants to ask for help.
Help Malvern. Malvern had big problem. 5-letter word for stealth like creep! Malvern, thanks!
Unlike later meta horror pictures like April Fool's Day or Scream, or even other parody movies like the previous year's undoubtedly inspirational Airplane, Student Body never makes any real effort to look or feel like what it's skewering. If anything, it comes across more like one of those brightly lit, slightly shaggy high school sex comedies that were also in fashion around the time. The main difference is that Student Bodies pointedly avoids nudity and profanity, aside from one scene where a man in a suit addresses the audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, in order to achieve an R rating today, a motion picture must contain full frontal nudity, graphic violence, or an explicit reference to the sex act. Since this film has none of those, and since research has proven that R-rated films are by far the most popular with the movie-going public, the producers of this motion picture have asked me to take this opportunity to say, fuck you.
Otherwise, the jokes here are smutty without being overly explicit. That's one of the reasons it did so well on TV. Not much had to be cut out for basic cable. Still, at the end of the day, Student Bodies is certainly rough around the edges and for sure didn't live up to its full potential, but any fan of old school slasher horror will definitely get a nice chuckle out of it. Check it out.
Well, that does it for Student Bodies and this episode of USA Up All Night. Not to worry, though. We will continue the Halloween Creep Fest with a very scary film called The Evil Dead. You all enjoy the movie, and I'll see you next week when we'll do something completely different all over again. I'd like to thank the fabulous Carol Connors and the sweet Adelines and C.J. Graham and Daly Pike, Madonna, and the Bear. Until next week, remember from the keeper of the Sizzle Kiss, if it's L.A., it's Rhonda. Up all night. Nighty-night.